Have you ever found yourself searching for, the secret, that one magic bullet for success in something really complex, really uncertain, like maybe financial trading?
Oh, yeah, that quest for the hidden trick. It's such a common thing looking for that external fix.
Totally. But often the answer isn't out there, is it? It's more
Yes.
inward.
Exactly, which is why this deep dive is so fascinating.
Absolutely. So today we're really digging into the psychological gold in Mark Douglas's classic, The Disciplined Trader. We've got stuff straight from the book, but also perspectives from traders out there living it.
Yeah, our mission really is to figure out why. Why do so many people struggle long term in trading, even with endless systems available?
Right. What's the missing link?
And Douglas argues very convincingly, I think, that it's psychological discipline. Now, okay, the book uses trading as the example.
But the principles, they apply way beyond that, don't they? Any high-stakes game where you're dealing with uncertainty, it's about your inner game.
Precisely, mastering that internal world.
So let's start right there. What's Douglas's, foundational point? The big idea he hits you with first.
Well, he basically says success isn't really about your method, your system, not primarily anyway. It's overwhelmingly about your internal mindset.
Okay.
He wrote the book because he saw so many traders, himself included at first, who had decent technical approaches but were still failing consistently.
So it wasn't the charts or the indicators.
No. The missing link was psychological discipline. Things like real self-control, managing your emotions, being adaptable. He's very open about his own early struggles with fear and, well, blowing up accounts to show why this inner work is just non-negotiable.
That makes a lot of sense. He says we need a new thinking methodology. That sounds significant. What's wrong with how we usually think? Especially that whole effort equals reward thing we learned growing up.
Ah, yes, that's the core of the conflict, isn't it? Society teaches us, put in the work, get a predictable result, study hard, get an A, work late, get promoted.
Yeah, cause and effect.
Exactly. But Douglas says forget that in the markets. It just doesn't map. The market isn't this linear machine that gives you output based on your input effort.
So trying harder doesn't guarantee better results.
Not directly, no. You might just dig a deeper hole. What you need, he argues, is to first see your own biases, your mental baggage. Then you got to cultivate serious mental flexibility. Build a mindset that doesn't just tolerate uncertainty, but actually, uses it.
That's a huge shift, a complete paradigm shift, really.
It really is.
Okay, so speaking of market reality, Douglas has that line, the market is always right. That can feel rough, can it? Especially when your trade is going totally the wrong way.
Oh, it's a tough one to swallow sometimes, for sure. But it's crucial. What he means is the current price reflects the collective belief, the sum total of everyone's actions and feelings in the market right now.
Not my personal genius prediction.
Huh, exactly. Not what you think it should be doing based on your analysis.
Mhm.
The market itself isn't wrong. It just is. It's our interpretation, our expectation. That might be out of sync.
So success means aligning with what is happening, not what we wish was happening.
Precisely. It's about harmonizing, not dictating. A big lesson in humility, really.
And he doesn't shy away from the chaotic nature of it all. Unlimited profit, but also unlimited loss potential. Prices just running that price perpetuation idea.
And it's unstructured. Normal cause and effect logic breaks down.
Yeah, it's not a neat laboratory setting.
Yeah.
And this is where he really pushes traders. You have to let go of the need for certainty, that deep-seated human craving for a guaranteed outcome. It's a death trap in trading.
So what replaces certainty then?
Probability. You have to embrace probability. Think like a casino, not a gambler trying to predict the next card. Each trade is just one instance in a long series governed by your statistical edge, if you have one.
Not a guarantee.
Never a guarantee on any single trade. It's about playing the odds over the long run. Each coin flip is independent.
Okay, and this connects directly to being consistent, right? Douglas says, our beliefs drive our behavior. So if your beliefs are aligned and consistent, yet still flexible, then your trading actions, your results, tend to become more consistent over time. But then there's the flip side he warns about. Overconfidence or being too rigid.
How do those mess things up?
Well, if you're too rigid, convinced you've got it all figured out, you stop learning. You stop adapting when the market inevitably changes. You filter out information that contradicts your beliefs.
And overconfidence.
Leads to breaking rules, taking too much risk, thinking you're infallible after a winning streak. Both are major roadblocks to long-term success.
So how do you build better beliefs? He mentions mental rehearsal.
Yeah, it's a powerful technique. It's not just positive thinking fluff. It's about mentally walking through your process, visualizing yourself executing correctly, especially under pressure. You're essentially pre-paving those neural pathways.
Trading your brain before the heat is on.
Exactly. So you react based on your plan, not on raw fear or greed.
Okay, let's shift to building that inner framework. Douglas talks about our mental environment. What does he mean by that?
Think of it as the internal landscape of your mind. It's made up of your memories, your past experiences, the associations you've formed, and your core beliefs. All of this acts like a filter.
A filter on how we see the market.
Precisely. It shapes how you perceive market information. If you had a really bad loss in the past, seeing a similar setup now might trigger fear, even if the current setup is objectively good based on your rules.
So that past trauma is coloring the present.
Right. Those memories carry an emotional charge. They become these energy-charged lenses, as he calls them. Recognizing that this internal environment exists and how it influences you moment to moment is absolutely vital for making objective decisions.
So these energy-charged lenses,
Yeah.
positive experiences build confidence, maybe too much sometimes, like we said. But negative ones breed fear, maybe make us hesitate or see threats that aren't really there. How do we manage that?
Well, the first step is just awareness, recognizing, okay, I'm feeling fear right now. Is it because of the current market information, or is it an echo of that loss from 6 months ago?
Creating some distance.
Exactly. A psychological distance. You acknowledge the feeling, okay, fear, I see you, but you don't automatically let it drive the bus. You consciously bring yourself back to your process, your rules, the objective data now.
Which brings us right back to adaptation. Douglas hammers this point home. Successful traders adapt. They shift their beliefs when the market tells them to. Why is that flexibility so much better than rigidity? Humans crave certainty after all.
Because the market isn't certain. It's constantly evolving, shifting character. A strategy that worked brilliantly last year might stop working this year if you're rigid, stuck in your ways.
You get left behind. Or worse.
Or worse, flexibility is survival. Adaptation is about learning to update your internal map when the territory changes. It's a skill you cultivate, consciously discarding beliefs that no longer serve you and adopting ones that align with current reality. It's ongoing mental housekeeping.
Okay, and this ties into goals too. Douglas discusses the dynamics of goal achievement. He says goals need to be structured like trading, defined, probabilistic, measured. But he warns against getting emotionally attached to the outcome of a single trade. Why is detaching from the outcome so powerful?
Because focusing on the money, on the outcome of this one trade, injects massive emotion into the process. If it goes against you, you panic. If it goes your way quickly, maybe you get greedy and deviate from your plan.
So it leads to bad decisions.
Almost inevitably, Douglas flips it. Focus intensely on the process. Did you follow your rules? Did you manage risk correctly? Did you execute without hesitation? If you focus on flawless execution of a process that has a statistical edge.
The positive outcomes, the profits, will take care of themselves over time. They become a byproduct.
Exactly. A byproduct of consistent, disciplined action, not the thing you're desperately chasing in the moment.
Makes sense. But flawless execution takes focus, takes energy. Douglas talks about managing mental energy, saying emotional regulation isn't like an infinite resource.
No, definitely not. It's like a muscle. You can fatigue it. Making decisions, managing fear, resisting impulses, it all consumes mental energy.
And when you're fatigued,
You make mistakes, stupid mistakes, often, ones you wouldn't make if you were fresh. So Douglas emphasizes conserving that energy, taking breaks, having routines outside of trading, self-care. It sounds basic, but it's critical for preventing fatigue-driven errors and maintaining long-term performance.
okay, so we know our mental environment matters. We need to adapt, focus on process, manage energy. But how do we actually change the problematic beliefs or associations? Douglas offers techniques for effecting change. He says beliefs don't just disappear, they get reshaped. What does he suggest practically?
He offers a toolkit, really, active reconditioning methods. One is self-questioning, really interrogating your beliefs. Why do I believe this? Is it actually true? Where did it come from?
Challenging assumptions.
Deeply. Then there are affirmations, but used strategically to consciously install new, more empowering beliefs. Visualization is another, mentally rehearsing the new desired behavior or response, overwriting the old pattern.
What we talked about with mental rehearsal earlier.
Exactly. And he also suggests writing, like journaling. getting thoughts out, analyzing them, tracking your progress, reinforcing the changes you're trying to make. It's active mental work, not passive wishing.
It sounds like ongoing training, not a one-time fix.
Absolutely. It's a continuous process of self-awareness and intentional rewiring.
All right, moving towards more actionable stuff from the book. He touches on the psychology of price movement. How does understanding that help a trader?
Well, it helps you see market action not just as random swiggles or purely economic data, but as a reflection of collective human psychology. That push and pull, the fear and greed playing out on the chart.
The tug-of-war of beliefs.
Yes. Recognizing that momentum, whether it's driven by optimism or pessimism, helps you observe more objectively. You're less likely to get caught up in the emotion yourself if you understand you're watching a collective psychological drama unfold.
Okay, now for the really concrete part. Douglas lays out clear steps to success. Can you run us through those key actions?
Yeah, these are the brass tacks, like you said. First, define your edge. What's your specific, repeatable advantage? You need to know this statistically.
Gotta have an edge.
Absolutely. Second, predefine your risk on every single trade before you enter. Know exactly how much you stand to lose and where you'll get out if you're wrong. Non-negotiable.
Crucial. What's next?
Third, execute without hesitation. Once your edge criteria are met, act. Don't second guess. Fourth, trade only within your sphere of expertise. Stick to what you know and understand. Don't chase random tips.
Stay in your lane.
Right. Fifth, think probabilistically. Always. Remember, it's a numbers game over time. Sixth, monitor your mental state constantly. Are you calm, fearful, overconfident? Adjust accordingly.
And finally,
Seventh, refine your system through reflection. Keep detailed records. Review your trades. Learn from mistakes, and continuously improve your edge and your execution.
that's a really solid framework. It ties everything together.
It really does. And he wraps it up by reinforcing the core message. Discipline, thinking in probabilities, staying emotionally neutral, and trusting your process, not trying to predict the future. That's what closes the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it consistently.
So if we try to boil all this down,
Yeah.
what are the absolute essential takeaways from the disciplined trader? The big nuggets of wisdom.
Okay, I'd say number one is mindset over method. Your psychology is more critical than your specific system.
Got it.
Number two, probabilistic thinking. Accept uncertainty, play the odds, don't demand guarantees.
Makes sense.
Three, emotional neutrality. Detach from the outcome, execute objectively. Fear and greed are enemies. Four, belief rewiring. You have to actively work on changing limiting beliefs. They don't fix themselves.
Active work, yeah.
And five, consistent discipline. Build routines, define risk religiously, reflect constantly. It's about embedding the right habits.
It's interesting how you see this reflected in online trading communities, like on Reddit. People really seem to latch on to Douglas's ideas, even the repetition.
Oh, definitely. The repetition seems to actually help people internalize it. You see quotes shared all the time like, define your edge, trade your edge, don't trade emotion. Simple, direct.
Or that other one.
Attitude produces better overall results than analysis or technique. That one really hits home for a lot of traders who've been down the rabbit hole of endless technical analysis, only to find it wasn't the missing piece.
Right. It's the mindset.
It always comes back to the mindset.
So the final verdict on the book, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, is it?
Not at all. It's a mental training manual. It's about dismantling the psychological habits that lead to failure and systematically building the ones that lead to consistency. It's valuable whether you're just starting out or you've been trading for years and still feel stuck.
It's an investment in your psychological capital.
Beautifully put, yes.
So, okay, bringing this home for everyone listening. Beyond just trading, the big message here seems clear. Real consistency, real success in any field where things are unpredictable. It comes from mastering your inner world, doesn't it? Not just finding better tools or trying to guess the future.
Absolutely. If you think about it, these principles, managing emotions, adapting your beliefs when things change, thinking in terms of probabilities instead of demanding certainty, where doesn't that apply?
Right. Career changes, creative projects, relationships, health goals. Anywhere life throws you curveballs and your own biases can trip you up.
Exactly. These are fundamental life skills, really, viewed through the intense lens of the trading world. The mental toolkit is incredibly transferable.
So here's something to chew on, a final thought for you. What if the biggest thing holding you back from your goals, whatever they are, isn't the external situation, the lack of some secret knowledge, but actually that internal mental environment you bring to the table?
That's a powerful question.
And following Douglas's lead, what small, consistent steps could you maybe take, starting right now, to begin noticing and maybe, just maybe, reconditioning some of those limiting beliefs or knee-jerk reactions? How could you apply this idea of a mental training manual to your own unique challenges?